Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. Welcome to the Blazethelion Podcast. I am your host, Blaze, aka that dude, that guy, that weirdo, whatever you'd like to call me. As we begin, make sure you do a couple things. Make sure you like, love, laugh, and share. Yes, share this on YouTube, share this on Facebook. Tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a damn friend. All right, about the Blazethelion Podcast. We are live, we are on. Also, for those who are so moved by this movement and you would like to contribute, all right, we have 3 tiers, 3 levels. You can become a monthly contributor and play a pivotal role in the development, the progress, just the overall enhancement of the podcast. All right. We have 99 cents, we have $5, and we have $10 a month. And you get some cool gifts. Not only do you see my crazy face and you get all this goodness from the podcast, but also you get Blazethelion Podcast wristbands. You get Blazethelion Podcast t-shirts. You get access to webinars and seminars and how to find your purpose, how to pivot in a pandemic, and more and more. Look at that. You get gifts. See how nice I am? So I want to thank you all for tuning in. I really do appreciate you all. Seriously, I do. I truly appreciate you all. Tonight's guest. I think I've done pretty good with names so far. I'm going to try my best not to butcher this name here, but I should get it. Tonight's guest is someone where some of you may know. You may have seen her face before. You may have heard of her before, quite possibly. She's been in the fitness industry for quite some time. I always felt a warm energy from her. Very, very great positive spirit. And I was drawn to her in the midst of this pandemic. That energy I felt was needed. So she, ladies and gentlemen, is a world changer. You know how much I love world changers, especially on this show. So tonight's guest is none other than, oh geez, Liz DiTomasso.
Perfect.
Oh, hey.
You did great. You nailed it.
I was sweating. Awesome,
you did good.
Awesome. Welcome to the pod. How are you?
Thank you, Blaze. I'm doing great. I'm just so honored to be here.
Oh man, I love it. So for those who may not know you or who have not heard of you, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I mean, as you just said, I have been in the fitness industry, or I was in the fitness industry for a while. But before that, I was actually a lawyer. So I originally went through law school, started teaching group exercise while I was in law school. I had no plans to do that. It was a situation where I was plucked out of the member base, very introverted, and told that I would do really good and they would help me. So I believed them. And I went through training and started teaching and absolutely fell in love with it. So I was doing that while in law school and realized I had a really big passion for the fitness industry. So after graduating law school, I took the bar and I was an attorney for a short period of time, but I just knew I had to give working in the fitness industry a really fair shot at that point. So I pivoted out of being a lawyer into the fitness industry full time and worked within the industry as group fitness manager, as an instructor, as a trainer for Les Mills, held all of those roles all together for over a decade, probably around 12 years. And then, of course, last March, lost my job due to COVID. But that was my experience in the industry, and I loved it. Loved every bit of it, and so grateful for it.
Mm. So I want to speak on something. So how does one go from being an attorney to and we all know, the fitness industry are millionaires here. We make so much money. How does one go from the field of law to fitness? What was that
Well,
driving force?
yeah, I have to say that I think what you see in the movies and TV shows around being an attorney isn't always accurate. So when you think about this huge salary that attorneys get paid, that's not always the case. When I came out of law school, I worked for sole practitioners. So I wasn't really making a whole lot of money as a new associate attorney. So in terms of the salary, I wasn't really afraid of losing that part of it. For me personally, I've always been someone who has to be grounded in passion and enthusiasm for what I'm doing. And at that time in my life, I just didn't feel it as an attorney. I loved the study of law because it was like intellectual boot camp in law school.
Mm-hmm.
It was really challenging. So I loved that. But in terms of actually practicing law, it didn't give me enough human interaction. I didn't have a chance to really use the skills that I felt were really prominent at that time. Whereas being in the fitness industry did. I was able to interact with people, teach them, work out, which I, absolutely love. And that was kind of a starting period of me loving movement. So it was kind of easy for me because I tend to be that person to take big chances and big risks and to follow my passion. And I wasn't afraid of leaving the salary behind.
I love that. I love that. Following your passion. Yes. How important is that? In the chat, are you following your passion? What is your passion? Passion is powerful. Passion is truly powerful. And to get paid to do what you're passionate about, who wants more than that, right? So great, so great. So in your journey in the fitness industry, man, just share with us, just share with us, like a few of the ups, a few of the memorable experiences that come to mind.
I think some of the biggest highlights are really simple moments. Like I'm remembering right now a new student I had in a class who had never exercised and certainly never taken a group exercise class before. And she happened to come to my busiest class. It was a Monday night, 5:30 p.m. class. So of course, those are going to be busier classes.
Mm-hmm.
And she did not want to come. Of course, she was dragged there by somebody else. And she just ended up really liking it and feeling comfortable. The most important for me, part of the whole thing for me was I know myself, challenges with weight and food, I've had them my whole life. And I remember how I felt working out in front of other people in a class. And so making people feel welcome and that this is their place, that they're included, that no one's judging them.
Right.
All of that mattered so much to me, even more so than the exercise part of it, because that's something that could carry over into their regular life. So I remember interacting with her after class. And when she said she had such a great time and she felt like she belonged and she was definitely going to come back, that made such an impression on me. And I realized how important that driving factor is in general in the fitness industry. Most Americans, a lot of Americans are overweight. The very people we were trying to serve in the fitness industry typically had that vantage point that they felt like walking into a gym was aggressive and just something that was hard for them to do psychologically. So I always felt like it was an honor to be able to help break that barrier for people, to really make them feel welcome and warm. And certainly it wasn't easy, gaining weight, losing weight as an instructor. It wasn't easy always to be in front of people when I had my own battles with weight, but that made it easier for me because I realized it would make them feel more comfortable.
Isn't it true that, I don't know if people realize, but in the fitness industry, many people think that it's really just about the aesthetics. It's really just about the physical. but it's so mental, it's so emotional. A lot of people are emotional eaters, right? And they have food addictions and all types of chocolate chip cookies right here. Oh man. So in just coaching clients, like for myself, yes, you can push somebody to, okay, well, give me 5 more, or, to add some weight in that class or whatever. But if their mind hasn't switched, if they're not ready here, then it makes it so much harder, right, for them to achieve their goals. Even a gym class, to have that courage to step into a gym class for the first time, and you overthink and you say, oh, well, I'll be judged because I don't know what I'm doing. And, like, what if I can't keep up? So it's a lot. It's way more than just the physical that people, think and assume.
It absolutely is. I think that story that we tell ourselves, whether it's related to, that some people are going to judge me, I'm not going to know what I'm doing. That story people tell themselves to not go to the gym outside of the pandemic. That's the same story we tell ourselves all the time, to not try something new that's really uncomfortable or scary. At least I noticed that for myself. That's a common storyline. So when I remind myself of all of the other times that I've faced that story and proven it to be not true in my own head, that it's doable. And I tried my best to help other people realize it's doable too. I just think that's vital, because we never grow or really become our full potential if we're unwilling to challenge those kind of stories that we have in our mind.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. Speaking of the mind, so this month's theme is overcoming adversity. Who's been through some major adversity in the past 12 months? Man, what a crazy year. What a crazy 12 months. I saw a meme today. I should have took a picture of it, but basically it said, are we really going to allow March to come back in our lives, even though last year, like, it treated us so bad, So basically, I mean, that joke was terrible. Like, I butchered that. But basically, one year ago, the America and probably most of the world was forced to stop, was forced to freeze, and people were burdened with fear, with anxiety, with loss of income, with just so many things. So with you, was there any adversity that you had to face in like the past year?
Yes. So I lost my job middle of last March, and it was very sudden. It was right around when things were starting to really stir with COVID, and it was right before everything started to shut down. I wasn't expecting it, although probably like most people listening, we all have intuition. So when I saw a meeting put on my calendar for a Monday afternoon, I had a terrible feeling about what was going to happen in that meeting. So I wasn't expecting it from that perspective. I certainly wasn't ready for it financially, but just like other adversity, that isn't the first time I've lost my job. So the thing that I really appreciated is I already had some strategies and tools in my toolbox, so to speak, on what you do after the shock of losing your job. And I was able to help other people that were in my situation, because that wasn't the first time I've lost my job in a shocking way. But certainly it has not been an easy year. However, like all of the previous times, I can even see now, only a year later, that it set me on a better course. And certainly I'm still in a major transformation, but I can feel that my path has already improved after that event. And, that's always been the case every time I've lost my job.
So isn't that how life is, that we go through things and sometimes we feel like we're the only one, or why did this have to happen to me? But I am a firm believer that what we suffer, that what we struggle or go through is never in vain. It's always lessons to be learned. And that experience that we face can definitely help somebody else.
Yes.
Eh? Definitely. So, wow. So that is great to just to hear that just I mean, isn't me, but her energy is just different. It's different. She seems happy.
I'm happy to be talking to you and everyone listening.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. 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 This whole season has been a shocker. And seeing you, I want you to elaborate a little bit about what you've been doing on social media. I see videos, I see speeches, I see just positive energy from you. And that's one of the things that drew me to you, where I heard a message that you spoke on. Don't ask me exactly which message it was, but I heard a message and immediately it felt like a magnet. I was drawn to it, and I had to listen. Like I had to hear every word, and it was timely. And that's the thing, that we get on these platforms and we'll speak on certain things that we're going through, and it's timely because somebody needed that. Somebody needed those exact words. So can you share a little bit with the audience about like what you have going on?
Yes, absolutely. So I have to say that I am actually kind of an introvert. I have learned to be extroverted because obviously if you're going to be a group exercise instructor and you're going to stand up and be a trainer to host certification workshops, extroversion comes with the territory. So
Right.
all of those things really pushed my inner introvert to be more extroverted, which I appreciate deeply, those experiences, because really it's hard to get any message out if you stay in a shell the whole time. So I say that because social media has been one of those things for me where it's been a bit of a tug of war over the years in wanting to be out there on social media. And my previous position really required us to be on social media. So between my kind of natural wanting to dive into a shell and being forced, frankly, to put certain messages out previously, it made me not really want to be on social media for years. As soon as I was released from my position, I just felt like I had a lot to say that was like waiting there. That was all things that I would say to friends and family. I just felt called to put it out for more people to hear. And I will say that I certainly was nervous about doing it because I had the same kind of self-doubt anyone would have about video, about whether people are going to like what I say, about whether the people who are my, followers or fans or friends on Facebook, whether they're going to be like, what is she talking about? What is this version of Liz that we've never seen? So I had all of those common fears, but I decided that it was something that needed to be done. It just felt like it was coming from another place beside just the ego part of me. So I put various videos out there. And I think the one that you might be referencing there, I did a video on this idea of rupture, which was on an idea I learned through Mama Gina's School of Womenly Arts. Regina Thomasschauer is the person who leads that school. And in her books and in the school as well, she talks about how rupture, essentially when everything falls apart and just kind of diminishes in your life, and your life as you know it has changed in some dramatic way, how that's an actually really valuable piece of growing and transforming and being more in alignment with who you actually are authentically. So I did a video on that because I was very much feeling rupture after losing my job. And it reminded me of other times in my life where the rug just felt like it was pulled out from under me completely. And I thought that was a message that everybody could really relate to, whether they lost their job or not. Even if you didn't lose your job, your world changed dramatically last year, whether you're now the teacher of your children at home while you're also working, or any other circumstances, everybody's life changed dramatically, or you lost a loved one. Everyone had rupture in some form last year. So I just thought that was timely, and hearing that that's not a bad thing. It's actually a necessary part of life. I just felt like that was a message that would really help.
Definitely. I feel that we have to constantly be prepared to renew our minds, to remind ourselves, right? Because it's easy to get caught in the sauce, right? It's easy to be overwhelmed by the news or just what people are saying. So do you have a routine, or do you have anything, any tips or any things that you do daily, especially when you may be feeling low or anything like that?
I do, Blaze. And I have to say, one of the great gifts that I got out of this year is I now have a job that requires me to start at an exact time. And because of that, I've decided that structure and having a structured schedule would be a big focus and something positive that I implemented and took away from how my life has changed. My previous job, I had a lot of autonomy. So no one told me I had to start at a certain time. And frankly, that would lead to me going to bed way too late, waking up late, not having any positive things that I'm doing in the morning, such as working out or meditating. So I have to say, I think perspective is very important too. It's, the job that I have now is not one that I would want to hold for the next decade, but it has brought this sense of structure into my life. So I'm a big believer in structure, especially when everything else is out of control. So when I wake up, I do not go right over to my phone and look at social media or anything else. Woo! The very first thing I do is make my bed, which might sound like super nerdy or like super organized, but it helps me feel really good that I start my day off very organized and I get one thing completed immediately. I then meditate and I work out. So whether I meditate and work out first, whichever one I do, it's the order changes, but I do both of those every single day religiously. And then I just, get ready quickly. I sit down and I start my shift. I work, of course, from home, as most of us do right now, but I never miss a day of working out and meditating before work, because I think that we should put our personal well-being first before we start working. I'm just a big believer in that. I spent so many years not doing that, where I would put off working out or like meditating in any form to the end of the day, and it never got done. And then really my employer was the only one who got all of my energy all day. My own well-being was put on the back burner, and I just have decided that will never be the case again.
Yes. Who meditates? Have you all noticed that so many of my guests meditate? Is that by coincidence? Never. Were they pre-screened to see if they meditate?
No.
But I encourage you, if you do not meditate, if you are totally lost about even what meditation is, there is no right or wrong way to meditate. But see, yes, they did notice, right? There is no right or wrong way to meditate, but more and more people are sharing the power of meditation. You can go on YouTube, you can go on social media, and even hear some of your favorite celebrities, some of your favorite athletes, and you ask them what their routine is, and they'll say the word meditation. It's powerful. I actually got into meditation a few months ago. In the midst of, this pandemic, it kind of forced me to dig deeper. And I said, why didn't I start this sooner? Why am I just starting this now? I used to frown upon meditation. I used to judge people. I used to mock people. And, that's what many of us do. We make fun of things that we don't understand. Right? So I used to, what is that? What's that music? Are they chanting? What is that? It's weird. You're vegan. That's weird. Like all that stuff is weird. And where am I now? Doing a lot of that same stuff. So, man, I love that. So your routine every morning, meditation and working out. Awesome. So what kind of workout routine? Is it cardio based, or is it just is it outdoors? Because I know a lot of people still haven't been to the gym yet, or some of them dabble here and there. So would you like to share with the audience just a little bit about each?
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm lucky in that even prior to the pandemic, I was already doing some things on my own using the Les Mills On Demand app. So I already sort of had a routine of working out. We have a workout center in the apartment complex that I live in. And I also work out in my apartment when it's not something that's jumping because I'm on the third floor. So if I'm going to jump, I'm going downstairs to the workout center. So I'm lucky in that my routine in terms of working out didn't get completely demolished without having a gym to attend. But that also means I'm a big speaker and believer on you can work out from home. You know, it's we don't have to tell ourselves limiting stories that we have to have a gym to go to in order to stay healthy and to move every day. Even if we have no access to a gym, we have our homes, right? So what I do is I use their app to do some weight training. I really like high intensity interval training. So I do that twice a week. Of course, I'm going down to the fitness center to do that so that I'm not jumping. Right. My neighbors below would not be happy with that. I do also do yoga and Pilates. They have a workout on their app where it combines those. I love that on Sundays when it's kind of a chill day. And then they also have workouts where they blend a little bit of mixed martial arts that's, catered to group exercise. So it's you're not actually hitting anything. They blend that with a little bit of sports inspired agility training and then a little bit of core training. So I'll do that workout where it's a little bit of each of those for about 45 minutes.
Oh, nice. See, look at that. Look at that. There's always a way. You got to make a way. It may not look like how it used to look, right? It may look different, but there's still a way. Me as a group exercise instructor, things are a little bit different, right? I no longer have the packed classes with 60 people, 70 people, even 40 people. Like those days might be gone. Right now, if I get 20 people in a class, I'm like, oh, class is packed. Look at everybody, And a year ago, I would say only 20 people. Where is everybody? What is this? So it's very different, but there's still an opportunity in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of change. You just have to find and take advantage and seize the new opportunities because they are there. So anybody who has not been working out these past 12 months, you've just been sitting down and you've been binging on snacks and Netflix. Little secret, Netflix does not care about your health. Maybe you didn't know that, but in case you didn't, hate to be the bearer of bad news. They just care about your pocketbook, right? So not bashing Netflix, I watch it too. However, don't allow that to be an excuse for you not getting to your goals, right? So whether you're following a fitness app, right? Whether you're going on YouTube, whether you have bands and you're doing some workouts using resistance bands, whether you're outdoors and you're walking or you're running, there are so many ways to keep the body moving. There's so many ways to build strength, to keep that heart rate up. So we are living proof. Those who know me know I'll teach classes right on Zoom. And I live on the third floor too. So far, knock on wood, so far my neighbors haven't complained yet. Hopefully they don't ever. But I'm there doing my kickboxing right there on the Zoom and I'm blasting the music. But there's always a way. So I love that. Now, I know many people have asked about meditation. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the love in the chat. Many people have asked about meditation. So would you like to share anything about what you do?
Sure. First thing I want to say is I feel like if meditation seems weird, which of course I can understand why it would. I started meditation when I was in my 20s, but before I did that, I would have seen it as weird and something that only people who are like maybe kind of hippie did. And I, view myself as being pretty grounded and down to earth. One thing I could definitely suggest is you don't have to actually sit down and do a formal meditation to get the benefits of meditation. You can do what's called active meditation, where, for example, if you're washing your dishes, you're not thinking about your to-do list, but you're just really with the act of washing the dishes. You're feeling the suds on your hands. You're focusing on getting the dish clean. You're just focusing on being present, in other words. That's a form of meditation as well. So even if you start to bring more presence into what you're already doing, if you're taking a walk, instead of, just talking to someone or listening to your podcast, maybe you take a walk and you just notice the flowers and the trees and you listen to the birds. That's a form of meditation as well. What I do right now is I give myself about 25 minutes for meditation in the morning. So again, you don't have to devote an hour to meditation. I think that's another thing that keeps people from doing it. They think they have to do it for a long period of time. I love the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He actually sells meditation, both digital and CDs, right on his website. So he has a morning meditation and an evening one that are packaged as just about 20, 25 minutes each. And his meditations are really focused on helping you get into a zone where you can imagine the life that you really want to live. And I really love that. I love, in other words, proactively conditioning myself to think about the life that I really want. I want to accept my current life and be present as much as I can. And I want to realize that it's up to me what comes to me in the future. So that's really what this meditation does. It guides you. It's a guided meditation. So he'll guide you through just becoming very present and then guiding you toward the kind of life or vision that you want for yourself, whether it's health, whether it's about your career or relationships. I think his website is just drjoedispenza.com. So that's what I'm doing currently.
See, we have somebody in the chat already. They're reading his book.
Yes.
Awesome.
He's very science-based too. So I like that he's got the science and he's got the spiritual. I like the marriage of those two because I like to understand from a logical perspective what's happening with my brain when I'm doing this.
Right. That is cool. We don't do that, right? We don't remain present. We, like you mentioned, we do things sort of in the meantime, or we do things while we're really focusing on something else. So we're washing the dishes, as you said. We're angry about somebody else for what they did, or we're not being present in the moment. So that's big. That's big. They always say to enjoy the journey, right? And not get caught up so much in the destination to where you're not happy right now. You keep focusing on when I get to that, when I have this, when I achieve this, then I'll be happy. And it's not true. You have to choose to be happy. You have to choose. You have to make that decision. So I like that. I haven't really heard much of it. So I like that. Awesome. I do. For me, I try to remain still just because my mind is going. So I prefer to, actually it varies, but when I'm home, I prefer to keep the house as dark as possible. And I'll just go to YouTube. And even now, on iPhones, if you have an Android, I really don't know. But I know for iPhones, when you go to iTunes, they have all these new categories now. It's not just country and blues and hip hop and pop, but now there's categories for wellness, there's categories for focus and different things like that. And they're playing meditation music. And so I do a lot of that. I'll just throw on some music. Or, your computer screen, like your screensaver, and
Yes.
it'll show images of different places with great views. I
Yes.
I put that on my TV on YouTube, and it just
Mhm.
shows images of great landscape, um and I just kind of focus on just the landscape and the earth and just what I'm feeling, and me being able to pause and to pivot, which is what you had mentioned earlier too. In those moments is when I get it. I get the idea. I get the answer I was frantically looking for and I couldn't find because I kept moving. And
Yes.
sometimes you just have to stop, whether you stop what you're doing or just not overthink and just be present. So, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, this portion of the podcast, I like to talk about colors. Hmm. For those watching, you guys know that every week we speak about colors. So basically, I'm going to yell out, not necessarily yell, but I'm going to say random colors. And my beautiful guest tonight will just say what comes to mind for each color. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Hmm. Audience, are you ready? Hmm. Now you guys don't ruin it now. Actually, I don't care. You guys can say whatever you want in the chat. Last week was actually really, really funny, right? So let us start. Here we go. And feel free, if you're watching this at home or wherever you are, feel free to jump in. And if I say a color, feel free to comment in the post what comes to your mind, right? We are a family here. So here we go. Color number 1. Blue.
Blue. Oh, I love blue. I am really into yoga and the chakras. So the first thing I think of when you say blue is the throat chakra, communication. That's always one of the chakras that I like to work on personally because I love communication. But that's definitely the first thing that comes to mind. Blue and the sky. We have such a beautiful sky here in Florida, which I do not take for granted, not being originally from here.
Mm-hmm. Where are you from originally?
Well, I was mostly raised in Pennsylvania. I was born in New York, and then we moved to Pennsylvania around when I was 10. And then I
Okay.
briefly lived in Chicago and Maryland as well before I lived in Florida.
Okay, so all cold climates.
Yes, all cold.
And then you get to sunny Florida. Okay.
Exactly. So I don't take I don't even know if anybody that isn't from Florida realizes this, but not only the blueness of the sky, but the clouds are different down here than they are up in the Northeast. They're beautiful. They're almost like in 3 dimensions. So whenever I go outside and it's a sunny day, I just always have gratitude for how beautiful the sky and the clouds are down here. I know that's simple, but
Look at that. How many of us take the clouds for granted? Huh. Isn't that interesting? Look at that. We take this weather for granted. We take our proximity to the beach for granted. I don't know if I should go to the beach. I mean, it's a whole 25 minutes away. It's just, and many people, they're surrounded by water, but it's not like Florida beaches. All right. Speaking of, let's do yellow.
Yellow. The first thing that comes to mind is that's my mom's favorite color. So I always think of her when I think of yellow. And of course, I think about the beautiful sunshine here and just happiness.
Awesome, awesome. How about peach?
I don't really have a whole lot of peach in my life. That's an interesting color.
That's my mom's favorite color. So
Is it peach?
peach.
Yeah, I don't eat peaches and I don't really have anything with much peach in it.
What
I don't really
has
have a connection
peaches
to that
ever
color.
done to you?
Nothing. I just don't really have a connection to that color. Maybe I
Oh,
need to ponder why.
yes. Peaches are amazing. Peach is actually the official emoji for glutes
Mm.
on our phones. Everybody wants to get that butt workout in, and they're always posting peaches. Grow my booty color. Yeah, see, I just said
I definitely need to work on that.
it. Along the same lines, how about pink?
Oh, pink is my favorite color. So I do wear a lot of pink. It just, when I think of pink, I think of brightness and um, it inspires me actually. The color inspires me on days when I really want to, I mentioned the shell earlier, dive into the shell. Pink inspires me to not just wear all black, like to actually be willing to put myself out there, vulnerability, weaknesses,
Mm,
all of that, to put it all out there.
mm, I like that. Sadie commented fuzzy. Were you referring to the peach being fuzzy? Or were you saying that the screen is fuzzy? Hmm. All right, moving on. How about gold?
Ooh, gold is like a regal. I mean, I guess purple is too, but gold, when comes to mind immediately, is just a sense of regalness or royalty or just full potential.
Mm. You know, my last name is Gold. I was
There
Dutch
you
too.
go,
You were also
regal.
hey, awesome. Oh, okay. Yes, peach, peach fuzz. Got you, got you, got you. We don't really say fuzzy for peaches, though, Sadie. We say fuzz. So you said fuzzy. So it felt like maybe you were fuzzy, or maybe I was fuzzy. In any case, moving forward. All right. How about red?
Ooh, red is so vibrant and alive. I mean, there's the fire part of red, and then there's like the vibrant part of red, which I think that's similar to how passion and anger exist on the same spectrum. They're opposite ends of the same spectrum. So that's how I see red. It's like a dynamic color that, depending on which space you're in, you're either in the passion space or the anger, but either way, there's going to be a lot of energy with that one.
Mm, yes. Yes. Coming up next, after we get through these colors, I want to get a little serious. So you guys get ready. All right, we're gonna maybe shed some tears or something. I don't know. We'll see. All right, cool. We have three more colors. Here we go. You already mentioned it, so I'm going to start with that one. Purple.
Purple definitely is in the same category as gold for me, that just regal, royal. I always think of the robe that a king or a queen would wear when I think about purple. I love that color because I love
Thank you.
regalness.
There's some purple,
Exactly.
and this is actually a little bit of purple here.
Exactly. And it fits.
See? Look at that. Two more, two more. Black.
Black. I feel like black is a comforting color. I've worn black, like particularly to work out. I've worn black for such a long time. It helps me get in the zone for working out, but it just makes me feel really comfortable working out too, no matter what, stage my body is at. Black, yeah, I find very comforting.
Mm. All right, here we go. Last one. Green.
Oh, I love green. So green, the first thing that just popped into my mind is grass. I love the smell of grass. It reminds me of my days of playing field hockey. Back in middle school, I tried out for field hockey and didn't make it the first round, but I trained for a whole year and I made it the second year. So the
Okay.
smell of grass instantly takes me back to that time in my life where I was very overweight and unhappy and very unathletic. And I decided that it mattered enough for me to do something about that to make the team the following year. And when you play field hockey, you are one with the grass. You're running, constantly running, your stick is on the field. That smell of grass is just always around. So that's what green reminds me of.
Mm. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Isn't it funny how from young, right? From kids, we are introduced to colors, to crayons, to markers, to paint, through all different things. And certain colors are associated with certain memories, right? So no matter what we go through, no matter how old we get, we'll always remember, we'll always like recall certain colors and just what they did for us, like in our lives. So I like. So now I want to dig deep a little bit, just a little bit, not just a little bit. Can you think back to a time in your life? It can be recent, it can be a long time ago, up to you, where you felt stuck, where you felt truly overwhelmed, where maybe you felt like there was no way out.
Yes, there was a big one. So when I was in the fitness industry, I was going around on the weekends doing my trainer gig. So that consisted of me traveling to different gyms and hosting a certification training for instructors. And I loved that. I got to teach, I got to interact one-on-one with instructors. But the kind of highest accolade would be to be invited over to another country to actually be part of a filming team that would be on camera, working out and teaching the classes that the instructors were watching to learn their choreography. And I was actually chosen to do that, which I hadn't put my hand up to do, because in the back of my mind, I always sort of thought, well, I'm kind of average in terms of my body. And, my introversion was still a little bit there. So I never really thought of myself as being someone who would be selected for that role, but I was. And so I went over to that country, which is very far away. And when I got there, I worked with the filming team for a day. And at the end of that first day, they told me that I was not going to be on the actual filming because of what my body looked like. They didn't come right out and say, we think you're fat, but they essentially said, you don't look the way we need you to look to be on this video. Wow. So I was far away and I was still slated to be over there for another 2 weeks. So I couldn't just come home, and I didn't want to just come home. But I made the decision at that moment that even though I was incredibly hurt and devastated and embarrassed, of course, humiliated, that I would use that as an opportunity to do something really good and positive at some point when I healed from that situation. So I will say that I stayed stuck in a lot of just bitterness for many years after that situation. And the only thing that's helped me really come out of it is just realizing, one, nothing happens with coincidence. This is just my belief system. Even events like that are very painful, they give us character. They help us to be persistent. They help us pick ourselves up and keep moving forward. And for me, it helped me realize how much I was putting my self-esteem and who I thought I was in the hands of other people, instead of actually going inward to figure out who I really am and caring about my own opinion. In other words, I didn't realize how much I was doing that until that mirror was held up for me. And essentially they said, you're not acceptable. It forces you actually to say, do I see myself as acceptable to myself? Yeah. So that was really the gift that came out of that. It took years for me to get past that. And I could beat myself up now and say it took me so long, but I think we all have a different timeline for when we heal from traumatic things. And, just for me, it just so happened to take me a few years to really pull myself out of it.
Wow. I thank you so much for sharing that. I know bringing up certain memories isn't always easy, but I am a firm believer that what we experience is never in vain, and it serves more than just us. It's somebody or people who needed to hear that story that you shared, being transparent, being open, touch somebody tonight. And it will continue to touch people because people will hear this replay. They will hear it on various platforms. And thank you for that. Truly.
Of course.
Truly. And, I go through it too. People would not even imagine. It appears that I am strong and I am a rock and I don't get affected by the views or words of people. But sometimes I do. And people, me being in this position that I have, people have called me certain things from unhealthy to skinny to all sorts of things. And over these years, sometimes I laugh it off, but sometimes they have no idea, the struggles that I have, the struggles that I went through as a kid, with just self-image. And again, being that introvert forced to be an extrovert because of our careers, it is not always easy. So that shows strength. That shows growth. So I know I already said it, but I just want to say thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
For sure. So currently, where you are now, what gives you joy? What brings you joy? Why are you happy? Why are you glowing right now on this screen? Is it your lighting?
No.
I think it's her.
I don't have it in me to lie. I've never been that person, to be honest. What brings me joy is realizing that we all have access to joy when we are fully present in the moment, and when, more importantly, when we accept exactly where we are. It would be easy for me to look at some of the circumstances of my life and say, unacceptable. That's unacceptable to me, my job or whatever. But I just choose not to live that way because it's creating my own suffering when I do that. So the reason why I'm a happy, peaceful person, and of course I have moments where I'm not, but then I remind myself, if I'm in a place where I'm not feeling good, it's usually, if I trace it back to whatever I was thinking or feeling just before that kind of mood took over me, it was because I was fighting or resisting whatever is happening in my life right now. The job that I have, the weight that my body is at the moment, anything happening in relationships. So as soon as I drop that and just accept fully, this is where I am, and face it, and then make a choice for where I want to be in the future, that's truly what keeps me joyful.
Yes. Perspective. I was listening to a podcast last night, and it's how you look at things. It's even how you say things, right? So you may have a hectic day, you may have a busy day, and you're saying, to yourself, "Oh man, I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to that," and then you begin to complain. And the person said, "Don't think of it like that. Think of everything as a opportunity. Like, I get the opportunity to blah, blah, blah." You know what I mean? It just changing the words that you use changes the experience.
It does. I mean, our minds, our words are very powerful. They have the ability, because really whatever your mind, whatever you let happen in your mind, it filters the way you see everything and the experience you have. And we have control over our mind. So we can't catch every thought we have. We have so many thoughts in a day, but
Right.
You can kind of tell what you're thinking based on how you feel. Your feelings are a direct indicator of how you're thinking. So you can kind of get the flavor of what you're thinking based on your feelings on a regular basis. And that's the biggest change probably that I've implemented in my life, is just really trying to rethink the way I say things in my head and the way that I see a situation, and then how I actually verbalize it. Because even the way we verbalize things, that's even more powerful. That's basically the thought in action when you're speaking.
Yeah. I don't even like to joke and say certain words. I don't like to say I can't. Even if my account is overdrawn, even if I'm in the negative that week, I don't like to say that I'm broke. I don't like
Nope.
to claim that at all, or that I'm a
Exactly.
failure, or that I'm weak, or I'm depressed. I don't say any of that stuff. I don't even say I love you to death. I don't say any of that stuff
Right.
because words are powerful. There are things that I've said as a joke that have come to pass. Like even me being a father, I manifested that just by my words, and in some occasions, I was joking. Even the person I had a child with, I manifested it, not knowing it would actually happen, and it happened. So words are powerful, whether you want to believe them or not. That's up to you. But words are powerful, and words come from your thoughts, right? Your perspective, your views. So there are stories that we tell ourselves, and you have to decide, is that story a fact? Is it fiction? Are you just in your feelings? Maybe it's a story that somebody told you about their views on you, and they said it to you at a time in your life where you were just maybe not feeling well, and it stuck with you. And maybe sometimes when you're feeling down, when you're feeling low, maybe you replay that story. You ever been in a great mood? You're just hype and energetic, and then all of a sudden it's like you're just blah, you're just and nothing actually happened. You didn't get in a car accident. You didn't get in an argument with anybody. Your mood just changed. And you're like, many times it's the stories that we tell ourselves. And we just ruin the day. Right? Just based on our stories, on what information you have in your thoughts and what you're giving attention to. It's very, very powerful. In the chat, I don't say hate because I don't want anything to take charge of my emotions. I find words that put me in charge of my reactions. Yes, yes, definitely. Powerful, powerful words. Another person in the chat, Danielle, yes, thank you for sharing. These hurtful experiences really do strengthen our character. Yes, and she put the purple heart. Purple, red is actually my favorite color. However, as of late, purple is creeping up. I have a new appreciation for purple, especially that during my meditations, I see the color purple quite a lot. So I have a new respect for purple. So indeed, out of the yes, they're going off in the chat. I love it. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Yes. What do you have in your heart? What are you holding on to? Maybe it's time for you to release it. Maybe hearing this episode, hearing this podcast reminded you of maybe some downs, maybe some hurtful times. Or maybe it just nudged you to operate in a spirit of gratitude, of appreciating what you have around you. Maybe you're so focused on things that you want to get and places that you want to get to that you're not being present. You're not enjoying the journey of washing the dishes, of washing the car, of just being there, of even those around you. You know, we travel and we go on vacations and we do things and we spend time with our families, right? And now in this new age of social media, phones, right? So we get caught up so many times in capturing the moments that we forget to live in the moment. Right? So we're making sure that our phone is charged and getting the right angle. And sometimes you just got to stop and say, hold on, let me let me bask in the experience. Let me look at my kids' faces or my family's interaction and just appreciate it, right? And see, you're getting love in the chat.
Hi, Sue-Ann. Missed you too.
See, nothing but good things to say about Liz. When I posted the flyer for this podcast, people were excited. People are excited to see you, to hear from you. So I love that. I love that. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. So, in closing, is there any quotes, any phrase, any word, any short story, any long story that you would like to share with the audience? Just to share about, what you've gone through, how you feel, and maybe for that person or for those people who maybe they feel like there's no way out, or maybe they feel that that current season that they're in is going to last forever and they'll always be there and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I know that is so tough, and I can relate. The first thing I can say is you're definitely not alone. I can relate. I know a lot of people can relate. We're all in this together. So none of us are separate. We're all connected. I think COVID, if anything, it has shown us that you can't separate, one individual from another. I think the biggest thing I would say when I'm in struggle, which, my current situation is definitely not one of the easiest I've been in. When I'm in struggle, I just remind myself, first of all, that it's not going to last forever. Nothing does. Everything is temporary in a sense, not to sound negative in saying that things are temporary, but they really are. Even my last work experience, when I was still in it, it felt like it was lasting forever. And it didn't. Now it feels like it was in the blink of an eye when I look back on it. And if you look back over your life, you can see times where it felt like you were in something forever when it was hard, but it actually went kind of fast when you look back over it. So I'd like to remind myself that this current season might feel hard because I'm still in it, but at some point I'm going to look back and it will have gone past so quickly. So the best thing I can do right now is being fully accepting of where I am, start from where I am. Where I am is okay. So I don't have to beat myself up. I don't have to make myself feel a certain way. So even if I'm having feelings of just frustration or hopelessness, I am literally going to accept that I have those feelings right now instead of trying to push them away and just be fake positive. I would literally, on days where I'm feeling like that, I'll actually acknowledge it to myself out loud because I live alone. So I would say one of the best things you can do is fully accept where you are now. If you don't have a good way of processing the harder emotions that come up when you're in the middle of a hard situation, you definitely want to have some strategies. So moving is a really good way, even if it's just walking. I like to walk at the end of my day. That way I can just kind of walk out any of the emotions that came up while I was working. Writing. So if you don't journal, that's okay. But even just writing down how you're feeling is a good way to process emotions. Breathing, talking to a friend, however you can find to just fully accept and acknowledge how you feel, and realize by looking back at other times that were hard in your life that didn't last forever either. That really helps me to anchor into and have faith right now before I can see how my future is going to unfold.
I like that. I like that. When you said to walk out, I forgot how you said it.
Yeah, so I like to walk out at the end of the day. I like to take a walk, not for movement purposes. It's more, to me, I feel like I'm literally walking out whatever emotions came up while I was working, because right now I'm working in a call center. So you don't actually know what's going to happen throughout the day. You can get all sorts of calls coming from all different kinds of people. So it's a lot of, sometimes it's a lot of heavier emotions at the end of the day. So when I'm walking, I literally like to imagine that the emotions are kind of like ringing out or like just kind of dissipating as I'm walking and moving. The emotions, I'm leaving them behind. That's why I walk. But it's also, I read a recent book that was talking about how to process emotions. Emotions are the language of your body. So the way that they're going to get processed is through some kind of movement, whether it's breath or moving. That's how emotions, their energy in motion. So that's how they actually end up being fully processed.
Yes, yes. Emotions is energy in motion. Yes, yes, definitely. So many gems tonight, so many tips that can help even myself. I took some mental notes here. Just being more present, being more mindful of where I am, and sometimes just accepting yourself, right? Just basking in where you are. Sometimes we get caught up in like just the regret and looking back. I should have did this. Why didn't I? If I only had, if I would have known this, and we beat ourselves up. And just what if, right? Just what if you are where you're supposed to be
Yes.
right now? What if it's not by mistake? You're not a screw up. You are not a failure. What if where you currently are is by no coincidence? And your circle, the people who you are going to meet, is not by chance. Just like me having Liz on the Blazethelion Podcast in March, first week in March to kick off our theme of overcoming adversity. Is not by coincidence. There's certain people who needed to hear this tonight. They didn't need to hear it next week. They needed this tonight. So it's timely and it's never in vain. And I don't believe in coincidences at all. Things definitely happen for a reason. So I love that. I love that. Everybody, good gems. Yes. You are where you're supposed to be. Yeah. Definitely. Wherever you are in life, right? Yes, there's growth. Yes, there are ladders to climb. Yes, there's more. But stop beating yourself up. Love yourself. Self-love. Actually love yourself. Even if you feel like currently no one is showing you love or no one is showing you unconditional love, you be that conduit of love. Can't anybody love you better than yourself? I love me. I'll tell y'all that. I love me some Blaze. I don't know about y'all.
Yes.
I look in the mirror sometimes, and not because of how I look, but just because of I am happy. I'm truly happy that I found my purpose, and I'm truly happy that I have the freedom to do what I love. And sometimes that costs a lot of things. Sometimes that costs money. There are many people who make double my salary, triple my salary, and they ain't happy. Or they don't have freedom. And I'm able to wake up and do a podcast and talk a whole bunch of mess and just be myself. Right? So love yourself. There are even meditations for love. There are self-love meditations that you can throw on. There are podcasts. There are many, many ways. There are books, even a friend. Make sure, though, if you're venting to a friend, make sure it's somebody you can trust. Don't vent to the person who spreads all the gossip at work or in the gym. I'm just saying, be careful of those people. In any case, not to get sidetracked, but yes, love yourself. If nothing else, love yourself. Accept yourself. Accept all your flaws. Everything. Love it all. And then with that, in love, you're able to move forward. In love, you are able to grow. So, see, there's one person there. I need to get into more podcasts. There are tons of podcasts. Liz, like, do you listen to other podcasts
I
besides the
do.
Blazethelion podcast?
I do. I love podcasts. There's Lewis Howes, the School of Greatness podcast. I really like that one. I do like Oprah's podcast. Brene Brown. Those are probably the top three that I listen to the most, beside yours, of course, Mr. Blaze.
Good answer. Good answer. Yes, podcasts are it right now. If you haven't had a chance to get into podcasts, I recommend you try it. Just my recommendation, you can start with the Blazethelion podcast. And then from there, man, for any industry, right? Any industry you're in or anything you just like, for the most part, there is a podcast for it. You can find information on it. You can find other people speaking about it, whether it's sports talk radio, whether it's movie critics, whether it's law, whether it's logic, whether it's religion, self-development, so many things, so much information out there. All right, so pick up a phone, hop on your TV, and grow as we grow together. I want to thank our guests. It's not my guests, it's our guests because we're a family. All right. I just want you to say your last name. Just so I want to hear how you say it.
DiTomasso.
DiTomasso.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, you said it correctly.
See, I may have said it correctly, but in my head, it took like a good 2 minutes for me to actually say it. So that season in my head seemed longer than it actually was. All
you
right.
did it.
There we go. I'd like to thank tonight's guests, Liz DiTomasso. Is it Italian? Like where does that last name come from? Do you know?
It is Italian. Yeah.
Okay. Because I think of Italian food when I when I hear that name.
You just got an image of spaghetti and meatballs?
Yes. Has anybody is that me? Is that just me or?
No,
so no,
common? It's definitely Italian.
Okay.
Both my parents are Italian.
Have you ever been to Italy?
No, it's definitely on my list. And I so want to travel. Man, I miss traveling.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Have you know that I am Italian?
Really?
I'm 2% Italian.
You have Italian in you. There you go.
I do. And my son has Italian in him as well because his mom is also Italian. I really want to get to Italy. That's something that's also on my bucket list. Awesome. You see how I'm rambling, right? I don't want to leave. Her energy is so contagious. You have everybody smiling here in the chat. Look at that. Happy faces. Love-struck faces. See? I love it. Liz, I want to say thank you again just for breaking bread with us, man, for sharing your time, for sharing your energy, being real, being authentic, being genuine, being transparent, for these listeners to receive. I know
it was a privilege.
Yes. I know it's helped someone here tonight for sure. It's helped me as well. And don't be a stranger. Continue doing what you're doing. Continue sharing light. Continue speaking, using your platforms to edify others, to educate others. And anytime you'd like to be a guest on this podcast, you are welcome to part 2, part 3. The list goes on and on. Yes, I love it.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Blazethelion Podcast. If you are watching the replay, I have many people who hop on late and they watch the replay. As I say in the beginning, feel free to like, love, laugh, and share. All right, this podcast on Facebook and on YouTube. And again, if you'd like to support, we have those 3 levels. All right, $1, $5, or $10, and you can be a part in this movement. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly love you all. Truly, I do. This would not be possible without you guys. Putting up with my antics, with my different episodes, with my weirdness, my uniqueness. I appreciate you all. I truly do. Each and every person here. This is the Blazethelion Podcast. I am your host, Blaze. Oh, there we go. There we go. Before we leave, yes, if people would like to get in contact with you or somebody in the chat, they're asking about your amazing videos.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. I do have a YouTube channel. It's my name, Liz DiTomasso. My last name is DiTomasso. And I'm on Facebook. I'm friends with Blaze here. But yes, I do have a YouTube channel. That's where all of my videos are.
See, so check it out. Check it out. Say that one more time.
Sure. It's my last name.
Yes.
DiTomasso.
Check her out on her YouTube channel. Well, you'll have enlightenment. You'll have insight. You'll have much more gems. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. We have lots of thank yous. Michelle Jensen.
Yay.
Thank you, Liz and Blaze, for sharing. Miss you both. Such positive energy. Look at that. Energy, 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 energy. Yes. Liz, thank you again for your energy. You see how I'm trying to drag this out, right? Like, Blaze, I have things to do. I'm supposed to end.
It reminds me of an Italian goodbye. It reminds me of when you're saying goodbye to all your Italian relatives.
Too funny, too funny. Thank you all again for tuning in. And remember that this audio will be available tomorrow on all major streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so on and so forth. Be you. Don't try and be them. Be you. The world needs you. All right? You're here for a purpose. You're here for a reason. So walk in it. Indeed. This was the Blazethelion Podcast. Peace and love, you all. Bless.